Let me tell you a story. The other night, I was suddenly swarmed by a deluge of creative ideas, some of which seemed pretty silly, but others had real potential. So I went to sleep with a smile on my face and creative ideas in my head. I woke up excited to start a new project, but unfortunately, the more I thought about those concepts, the more I got overwhelmed. So I just ended up mindlessly scrolling as the potential of last night's ideas slipped into oblivion. And that's why I'm going to build 5 simple things to help save my creativity, while I tell you how you can do the same. This is a creativity killer. A phone can sometimes be a useful tool. But let's be honest, most of the time it's just a time waster and a distraction. Even using it for inspiration, such as watching a creative video, can be dangerous. That's because consuming creative content has the potential to scratch my creative itch. That is, I no longer desire to be creative because I've already gotten the dopamine hit from someone else's accomplishment. And that's why I've made this simple wooden box. So when it's time to get creative, the phone goes in, out of sight and out of mind. Now that I'm not distracted by someone else's creative idea, I can think up one of my own. The place I do that best is in God's creation, the great outdoors. But sometimes the weather isn't too pleasant, or maybe you don't have easy access to a nice natural place. That's why I really enjoy terrariums and aquariums. Even as I'm writing this script, I'm glancing over at my goldfish. So I'm going to make a simple enclosed terrarium to put on my desk. I'm going to use this jar for the container. I'll start with a layer of pebbles at the bottom mixed with charcoal to help recycle the water, then a screen of some kind to prevent the soil from falling to the bottom. Next, I add the soil. There's something about being around nature that helps me come up with creative ideas. Ideas like turning my old shoes into a hat, or making a toad sandwich. After adding a few small stones, I thought it might be nice to put in this vine to make a sort of jungle scene. Now that our terrarium is looking nice, it's time to add the inhabitants.
Hey, what the?
Which will be a few isopods.
Ooh, this is nice.
Lastly, we seal it up. Now I've got a piece of the outdoors right here on my desk to inspire me while I think up my next great idea. I've come up with a basic idea, but now it needs some fleshing out. To do that, I use lots of pens and pencils and things to scribble out my ideas on paper. Since I use so many little tools, my desk can get a bit messy. So I thought it might be a good idea to make a desktop organizer to keep all of my pens and pencils, organized. Keeping a tidy space may seem trivial in the grand scheme of things, but if I'm organized, I'll be able to spend less time cleaning and more time creating. My drill bit was really dull and was overheating, so I tried sharpening it like an idiot, which didn't work at all, so I just bought a new drill bit. I also bought a new sanding disc, which sped up the process of carving. I got something in my eye. I don't know what it could be. Of course, there's more to organization than just keeping a tidy desk. How you organize your life will determine how you live it. The things you choose to keep close to you will get your attention more easily. The things you keep at a distance will have less influence on how you spend your time. So organizing your priorities is essential. It's just a matter of putting away the unhelpful distractions that keep you from doing the things you ought to. Then organizing the good things into their proper order. God, family, work, etc. At my freshly organized desk, I sketched out my vague idea into something tangible. Now that my idea is formed enough to actually start, it's time to actually start. I've found this part of the creative process to be the biggest barrier. You have to prepare your setup, get all your tools out, and convince yourself to put in the hours of effort. Having a set time to start rather than waiting for inspiration and motivation to guide me is key. Otherwise, I just put it off for a later time that never comes. So I thought it might be useful to make a creativity planner to help schedule my projects. And while I was at it, I decided it would be cool to fill some of the pages with doodles. So I doodled and doodled and doodled and doodled, creating characters and scenes filled with imaginative antics. Each page took between 2 to 3 hours to complete, and I needed to make 12 pages. I scanned, printed, and bound everything so I could make multiple copies. I'm really happy with how this turned out. There's so many crazy doodles in here. It has 12 calendar month pages paired with a full page of doodles, and it has 52 weekly pages to schedule out each hour of each day of the week. Now I'll have a date and time to start my project whether I feel like it or not. I'm actually going to make these available for you guys to purchase if you're interested in supporting the channel and having a doodle-filled planner for you to schedule your creative projects. Link in the description below. Before I build the last thing, I'm going to give you a bonus one, because at this point, I could really use a cup of coffee. The thing that's nice about preparing and drinking a coffee or tea or whatever your mid-afternoon drink of choice may be, is that it gives you a short break from the project to clear your head. I find when I come back to the project having recharged, I'm able to look at it from a new perspective. Now we've come to the final thing to build. Hopefully this will save my creativity from the brink of laziness. Not necessarily the thing itself, but the idea behind it. You see, now that we've come up with a good idea, fleshed it out, scheduled it, and begun working, I need to finish it. And sometimes that's no easy task, because no matter what the project is, I always run into issues, some more frustrating than others. It can be very tempting to cut my losses and quit at times like these, but I found that having the right motivation is key. That's why I made this, a frame. But it's not just any frame. This serves as a blank canvas to imagine upon what drives me to create. I imagine leaving behind an inspiring legacy of positive influence. I imagine supporting the people I love with my craft. That's what motivates me to create. So if you want to finish what you start, think of your motivation and put it on that blank canvas of potential. So did I save my creativity? I guess you'll have to subscribe to find out.